Hello! Welcome to the Poe-Cast. I'm Christopher.
And I'm Jonathan.
And I apologize if you hear the thunder or rain or the papers in my hand rustling, because when I'm talking about Quidditch, I have the articles printed out in front of me. And, yeah, unfortunately, this is going to be our last episode on the 2014 Quidditch World Cup. It's sad, it's come to an end, but it was glorious, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I've really enjoyed doing these episodes.
So have I.
It's stretched out to kind of really a 6-part series if you count the one on the 2 episodes on Pottermore and Muggle Quidditch that we did.
Yes.
So I have a little bit of a bone to pick with the mainstream news media before we get into the actual games.
Rita Skeeter was reporting on this last match, and as usual, she mostly talked about things besides the game.
I don't know whether to be offended by that or find it funny. I'm sure some fans find it really funny and some fans don't. I'm kind of on the I don't find it funny side. But that's actually not the bone I'm picking. Well, that's one of the 2 bones I'm picking, but the other bone I'm picking is with...
The one with the actual mainstream media?
Yes.
Oh yeah, that one. Okay.
That one. Okay. So, J.K. Rowling / Jenny Potter has been writing all of these very nice live match reports on the game. The games. I don't know. We're up to, how many games are there? Because there were 6 to start, then there were 4, then there were 2, then there was 1, then there was 1. So whatever that adds up to. Do the math, people. Okay, but J.K. Rowling has written a lot of background material, a lot of backstory, a lot of new information. There's the match reports. Okay, but what gets the mainstream media all riled up and what they actually said? I can't believe they said this, but J.K. Rowling publishes a new Harry Potter short story. Take a guess what it was.
It was a 2.5-page report on Dumbledore's army showing up for the final Quidditch World Cup game.
Written as if by Rita Skeeter, 2.5 pages of Rita Skeeter's gossip was called a new Harry Potter short story.
This is by no means a short story.
This is not a short story.
I have read a number of short stories. First of all, no really good short story is this short. And, well, I guess there are a few,
okay. But see, this is not a short story.
It's also not a story.
It's not it's not even a story unless you like a gossip column.
No.
Unless you like a fictional gossip column, which I personally don't. I kind of found this article, in-world insulting. My goodness, J.K. Rowling is a brilliant writer for doing this.
She is.
But I'm so invested in the world, and the fact that I'm doing these 4 episodes shows that I'm really invested in kind of living in this world. So, Rita Skeeter's talking bad about my friends. But this isn't a short story. One, this barely tells us anything about what happens after Deathly Hallows. I mean, okay, it gives us a few nuggets. I mean, honestly, if you want to mine Rita Skeeter's comments throughout, the final match and read the article, it does tell you a lot, but this isn't a short story. And I've been recently reading The Princess and the Queen, or The Reds and Greens, which is George R.R. Martin's basically, it's a short story, but it's written as if it was a couple of chapters from a history book from the actual world of Westeros. It's very fascinating how he weaves in actual kind of like prose dialogue scenes and more backup narration, which this does kind of classify like that, but this doesn't have any sort of plot line. This basically, you can't even call this a short story because it's not a short story. Now, if you said J.K. Rowling publishes new information on, I mean, I guess you can't call it the backstory, but it's like the future of her characters, that'd be acceptable.
Yes,
but it's calling it a short story that I just can't. I'm a writer. I can't call this a short story. I mean, all the information that J.K. Rowling has published on Pottermore, all the information that J.K. Rowling has published on Pottermore is wonderful, but it has been in a very sort of textbook style, or like in these, it was an in-universe document. She hasn't actually published. She's published encyclopedia articles, she's published in-world news articles, but she hasn't published any short stories. The only Harry Potter short story is the little, like,
the
page
prequel sort of thing.
The one or two page thing that she wrote on, it was Sirius Black and James Potter,
yes,
and their run-in with the police while they were escaping from some Death Eaters. Yeah, it's been a while since I've read these books.
That was such a good short story.
Yeah.
Elven Dork. It's unisex.
See, but that was prose. It had a story arc, even though the story arc was very short.
Mm-hmm.
And it felt... It
felt like the books.
It felt like the books. It felt fulfilling at the end. It's like a promise was made and a promise was delivered at the beginning and end of this. This is just 2.5 pages of you learn that they're grown up, got kids, and have jobs at the ministry. Oh, and that Ron has gone and is helping George at Weasley the Wizard Wheezes, which of course he's going to do that.
Yeah, definitely.
That Victor Crumb and Harry Potter are friends.
That Victoire and Teddy Lupin are in a relationship. And that's
which, my goodness, we knew all this. We don't know any more than we did at the end of Deathly Hallows.
Yeah. I think that if J.K. Rowling wanted to, she could take all of these newspaper articles and kind of edit the format and turn the entire thing into a short story. But this alone is certainly not a short story.
What she would have to do... Okay, the only thing that could possibly qualify for a short story would be the
live comments
from the final,
yes,
which we will talk about in a moment because those are wonderful. But this is just like... This is pure sensationalism reporting to get page views. It's just like,
yes, basically.
Harrison Ford's leg crushed in the Millennium Falcon. It's ridiculous. Anyway, so let's actually talk about the final 2 matches of the 2014 Quidditch World Cup. The playoff for 3rd place between Japan and the USA. Not really surprising, but a lovely, lovely match all the same. The final scores were Japan 330 points to USA 120. The USA did great against a clearly superior team. Of course, the Japanese seeker Noriko Sato did a spectacular dive and caught the snitch. Zooming through flying bludgers and tangles of chasers and grabbed the snitch right out from under the heel of the American seeker. Not really surprising at all, but it was really, really fantastic that the Japanese team presented the American team with a Japanese Firebird chick. Because if you remember, the American supporters kidnapped Hans the Augury, the Liechtenstein mascot, and it's funny. It's delightful that Japan was sort of saying, "Here you go, we'll give you a bird. You don't have to steal ours."
Yes, I thought that was really nice because it was a little bit satirical in that manner, but also it was just very courteous of them.
It was courteous. It was all in good fun, good faith, good sport, and also very Japanese to give a gift, and it was great. The final. This was okay. This was amazing because they basically set it up so we would basically get a live blog or a live tweet throughout the entire course of the game. And it was kind of awesome. I actually showed up for the last half hour and got to follow it. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there. So, they begin with a little bit of Jenny Potter's talking about the pre-match show, runs down some stats, which was really lovely. Rita Skeeter never talks about
the actual match
at all. She is constantly, basically, I swear she has omnioculars staring at Harry Potter and his people. I don't know why she is like obsessed with them and then wants to tear them down. It's like I don't understand people like this. Maybe you guys can explain to me why this. Is there something about that these news people are obsessed with talking about sensationalized versions of these celebrities? I mean, they're just people, but like, there's all kinds of magazines about celebrities all over the place. I just don't get it. Anyway, that's about all we're going to talk about Rita Skeeter until the end. So, Bulgarian Vila. Feel free to chime in at any point. What exactly is a Kurupira?
They're these like little kind of gnome things.
Okay.
Except that their feet face backwards.
And have bright red hair. Were they?
Yes.
I seem to remember these from Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
Yes, they are in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. And I believe they're actually illustrated, but I might be thinking of a different picture. Actually, maybe
the only illustration I remember is of the 5-legged spider things from, like, the way top north of Scotland.
Yes.
Those were... They're a spider that's fuzzy, that's staring at you, that's big.
That will kill anything in sight.
Exactly. So, anyway,
supposedly they were created when these two families were having a feud, and one family cursed the other family, turning them all into monsters, but then they realized that the monsters were even more terrible than the family was before, and all of the monsters killed that family. And now the island is under, what's it called? Like, it's under a protection charm, so muggles cannot access it.
A unplottable charm?
Yes, it's unplottable territory. That's what it's called.
So the Vila and Kurupira make this, like, diamond pyramid formation altogether, which surprises me, because why would you have these little bouncy red-haired gnome things and these beautiful creatures who can turn into, like, you know, harpy vampire, I'm going to scream and kill all of you. But anyway,
however, they did not turn into those harpy vampire things.
No,
which is very fortunate.
So the clock starts, and the 427th Quidditch World Cup is about to come to an end in a spectacular game. As I said, I'm basically ignoring all of
Rita Skeeter.
All of Rita Skeeter's stuff.
I found most of her stuff to be very insulting, and a few small things to be amusing, such as when she...
Well, you're not going to talk about the end, are you?
No, not about the end. I was actually going to talk about this spot near the beginning of the game, right before the opening ceremony. She's talking about Teddy Lupin and Victoire Weasley, and about how they're talking and not paying attention to the opening ceremonies, and how Mr. Bill Weasley swapped places with Victoire, and...
Well, okay, but here's the thing. So Teddy Lupin, who's half werewolf, is not paying attention to the opening ceremonies, which is, has, half a dozen vila. He's got a quarter of a vila sitting right next to him. What do you think he's going to pay attention to?
But then, at the end of all of her talking, she says, Harry Potter is scratching his ear. And I just found that hilarious. That was the one actually good thing that she said the entire time, because it
is indeed a terrible waste not to drink in the magnificent spectacle now unfolding before us with the colors and dancing and whatnot. Harry Potter is scratching his ear.
Yes. That's just... so satirical. And the fact that she isn't paying attention. She isn't
paying a lick of attention to what's actually going on.
Is just so terrible.
Yeah. From the transcript of the live coverage from the Daily Prophet's Quidditch correspondent, Jenny Potter, July 11th, 2014, the Quidditch World Cup final in the Patagonian desert of Argentina. And they're off. 14 players rise into the air for the 427th Quidditch World Cup final.
The Quaffle is in Brazil's possession, but slick defense from Dragunov and Volkanov has so far prevented them from scoring. Flores, Diaz, and Alonso are relentless, ducking and weaving as they try to find a way past the Bulgarian beaters.
An excellent intercept by Bulgarian chaser Levski, and Bulgaria are streaking towards the goal. Thrown to Vasileva. Ouch! Even the Brazilians groaned in sympathy there as a bludger hit Vasileva hard in the throat. She drops the quaffle, which is caught by Flores. Brazil are back in possession.
And it's first blood to Brazil with a spectacular goal from Flores.
Dragunov and Volkanov are successfully disrupting the Brazilian chasers, preventing the formidable trio from scoring a second goal. But Bulgaria is relying far too much on their defense, and their last touch of the quaffle resulted in a drop and fumble by Grodzda. No sign of the snitch so far.
Bogomil Levski breaks through the Brazilian defense and equalizes. 10-all.
A sudden burst of quick-fire quaffle passes has resulted in a brace of goals for Brazil, whose chasers are tearing up and down the pitch. Gonçalo Flores has scored twice more, and Fernando Diaz once, taking the score to 40-10. Bulgaria are making too many careless mistakes and need to take the offensive. Brazil looking far the stronger team at this point.
The snitch has been sighted, with the score standing at 50-20, following goals 1 minute apart from Alonso and Vasileva. A flash of gold near the Brazilian hoops leads Silva and Crum into a breakneck chase. Beaters and chasers scatter. Crum is ahead, but narrowly misses a capture. As the snitch soars upward, both seekers appear to be dazzled by the brilliant Argentinian sun. The snitch has disappeared again.
Moments after Diaz lengthens Brazil's lead, 60-20, beater Santos hits Victor Crum hard over the head with his bat. The referee is examining omniocular footage to determine whether a foul has been committed. The game has been paused.
No foul. German referee Hermann Juncker concludes that Rafael Santos did not mean to hit Victor Krum around the back of the skull with his beater's bat. Krum signals that he is fit to continue and play resumes.
And just a side note, this was the point when I showed up to the game. So everything after this I was watching live, and it was really, really excited. Really, really exciting. So 2 hours and 38 minutes into the game, mere minutes after play resumes, Krum and Silva are rocketing suddenly upwards. 5,000 omnioculars follow the pair into the dazzling Argentinian sun.
Krum and Silva are in a breakneck dash for the snitch, which Silva sighted first. He is 4 feet ahead of Krum as both rise almost vertically.
Krum is gaining on Silva, but will it be enough?
Krum and Silva neck to neck.
Krum's got the snitch. Bulgaria have won!
The crowds are going crazy. After 2 3/4 hours in the blazing Argentinian sun, Bulgaria has won the Quidditch World Cup and Krum achieved his life's ambition on the 3rd attempt. It looks like he might fall off his broom. Tears are streaming down his face, a hugely popular win here in the Patagonian desert, but hearty commiserations to Brazil. They led almost all the way, and in the end, it was Krum the Seeker who defeated them. A stunning display of sportsmanship here as Silva and Krum embrace.
This was very, very breakneck. Because for minutes we were just wondering who was going to catch the snitch. Because we just got little bits of they're soaring straight up in the air. They're soaring straight up in the air. And then all of a sudden, Krum's got the snitch at 2 hours and 45 minutes. Krum's got the snitch. Bulgaria has won. And, it's absolutely fantastic.
And then at the end, Rita Skeeter says some very insensitive things.
Yeah.
Even more insensitive than she said before in the game. And
okay, so her post cuts off mid-word. And then Jenny Potter comes on with Rita Skeeter has taken unaccountably ill with what some are calling a jinx to the solar plexus. Oh, you go, Jenny. So the final score was Brazil 60, Bulgaria 170. This was a lot of fun because they started, basically, opening ceremonies started at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and Krum caught the snitch at 4:19 Eastern Standard Time.
I really enjoyed this game, as I was rooting for Bulgaria.
Yeah, I was too.
Almost all of the World Cup. I really loved that Victor Krum came back, and I thought that his final moment was really inspirational and emotional.
Yeah.
I mean, he participated in 3 World Cups and wanted to win the Quidditch World Cup every time. That was his life goal, was to win the Quidditch World Cup, and he finally did. And
he was crying, just impassioned.
Harry came and they embraced.
Well, actually, he and the other Seeker embraced on the court.
And then Harry.
And then Harry came and embraced him, and it was just all around. The crowds are jumping up and down. 2 hours, 45-minute game. Really, possibly the shortest game of all. Well, not quite, because I think it was a 45-minute game or 42-minute game.
Yes, at some point.
But it was
the game between Nigeria and Haiti was also very short, but it was like an hour and something.
So this is one of the shortest games in the whole cup, but really, I think it was because Bulgaria knew that Brazil was honestly a better team and that Krum had to catch the snitch. I think that was their
in order to win.
Yeah,
yes.
That was their whole strategy, was have a solid defense, keep Brazil from scoring enough points, and
get the snitch.
Get the snitch.
Which I think is a very good strategy because Victor Crumb is an extremely talented seeker.
Yes. And
despite some of the criticism that he received for being the oldest Quidditch player to ever play, he did an outstanding job.
Not just that, but he outperformed every other seeker in
the entire World Cup. Yes.
So that wraps up the Daily Prophet's coverage of the 2014 Quidditch World Cup. I'm sure celebrations are probably still going on. We're recording on the Sunday after the match. The match happened on Friday, July 11th. As I said, it was 2 o'clock Patagonia time in the Argentinian desert. For us here locally, it started at noon and ended at 3:19. I had a lot of fun that I at least got to catch the last final moments live. I was actually texting Jonathan, yes, right at the moment when Crumb caught the snitch. And yeah, honestly, you can learn a little bit about the futures of Harry and his friends from Rita Skeeter's comments, but at least for me, to quote Jenny Potter, in all honesty, don't bother.
Well, and also that was also for the Gobstones tournament in Birmingham, as it
Gobstones are like marbles that squirt you with ink.
Yes.
Quad pot sounds more entertaining than that.
I would like to start a quad pot team, and
you really want to start a Quidditch team, and
that doubles as a quad pot team.
No, that occasionally plays quad pot.
Well, I have gotten some
quad pot in the summer. A Quidditch team would be awesome.
Yes,
anyway,
I also do want to start a Quidditch team, but I would like to start a quad pot team as well.
Yeah. So, everyone, go read the match reports. They're all still up there. They're going to stay up there. Check out Pottermore. Get on there. And I honestly am so thrilled that the 2014 Quidditch World Cup really rejuvenated the Harry Potter fandom. I know that Twitter was going wild with tweets and comments during and after the match, and Tumblr too. So that was a whole lot of fun, an amazing and really, really genius idea from J.K. Rowling. But it's come to an end, but the Wizarding World doesn't have to come to an end, because Pottermore, there's still, possibly some of the best to come. With the rest of Goblet of Fire and the final two.
You mean the final three?
The final 3 books, yeah. Okay, I have this problem. For some reason, the Goblet of Fire always equals 5 for me. I'm sorry. I keep making this problem. I forget about Half-Blood Prince.
Half-Blood Prince was lengthy.
Not as lengthy as Order of the Phoenix.
When I say lengthy, I mean that you got a lot of information, but the storyline did not progress in itself as much.
That's true. It kind of descended into the sort of, quest for the items trope, which really did drive a lot of Deathly Hallows. But Deathly Hallows also presented this very interesting philosophical sort of...
I loved Deathly Hallows.
There was this philosophical problem for Harry, because you had the Hallows or Horcruxes dilemma, and it didn't end because, he collected all the items and gained the magical object to kill the Dark Lord. Because that's what you expect. Oh, he's going to collect all the hollows and destroy all the Horcruxes and then kill Voldemort. When it came down to it, it was because he died and came back wiser than the rest of us. Because that was the true moment. It's the try for some repentance, Tom. It's not collecting the items and killing the Dark Lord because of, your +2 magic ring and your +5 magic sword. It's because he became wise. So, that's all from us. Go Bulgaria, go Pottermore, and we will see you next time. So for the Poe-Cast, I'm Christopher.
And I'm Jonathan.
Thank you for listening.